The 1948 King's Birthday honours were appointments by many of the Commonwealth realms of King George VI to various orders and honours to reward and highlight good works by citizens of those countries. The appointments were made to celebrate the official birthday of the King. The announcement date varies both from year to year and from country to country. New Zealand. The 1948 King's Birthday honours for New Zealand were announced on 10 June 1948. Knight Bachelor Donald Charles Cameron, Mayor of Dunedin. Order of St. Michael and St. George. Companion of the Order of St. Michael and St. George Berkeley Lionel Scudamore Dallard, Under-Secretary for Justice, Wellington. Rev. John George Lawton, member of the Maori Mission Department of the Presbyterian Church Poope, Whakatane. Order of the British Empire. Knight Commander of the Order of the British Empire Civil Division Major General Howard Carl Kippenberger CBCBEDSO Editor-in-Chief, New Zealand War Histories, and Vice President of the New Zealand Returned Services Association. Military Division Major General Norman William MacDonald Weir CBCBE, Chief of the General Staff, New Zealand Military Forces. Commander of the Order of the British Empire Civil Division Harry Howard Barton Allen DSCMA, Director of Botany Division, Plant Research Bureau, for services in the field of botany in New Zealand. William Robert Brew, President, Otago Early Settlers Association, for services to education. Miss Agnes Lang Loudon, formerly headmistress, Epsom Girls Grammar School, Auckland. Officer of the Order of the British Empire Civil Division Miss Agnes Elizabeth Lloyd Bennett MBE MDCM, for services as medical practitioner in Wellington. Percy Leslie Foote FRCSCDMRCSLRCP, Medical Superintendent, Bulliff Hospital. Athol Edie Gibbons, Dominion Chairman of the New Zealand Red Cross Society. Thomas Jackson, formerly Mayor of Rotorua. Martin Maxwell Fleming Lucky, formerly Deputy Mayor of Wellington City Council. Miss Edith Nio Marsh, for services in connection with drama and literature in New Zealand. Wiramu Teoka Parata, Elder of Ngātahu Tribe, for services to the Maori people. Miss Emily Margaret Sparks, Matron of St. Helens Hospital, Christchurch. Percy Vernon Esmond Stainton MBE, for services in connection with patriotic and welfare work in New Plymouth. David Tannock, formerly Superintendent of Reserves, Dunedin, for services to horticulture in New Zealand. Military Division Commander Herbert Russell Sleeman MBE, Royal New Zealand Navy. Colonel John Ingham Brooke, New Zealand Regular Force. Wing Commander Francis Ross Dix, Royal New Zealand Air Force. Member of the Order of the British Empire Civil Division John Bennett, of Central Otago, Chairman of New Zealand Fruit Growers Federation. Mrs. Mabel Lillian Campbell, of Auckland, for patriotic and social welfare work. Mrs. Amelia Emily Carpenter, formerly Mayoress of Waipukura. Mrs. Ada Frances Cochrane, of Gore, for patriotic and social welfare work. Miss Mary Teresa Enright, of Christchurch, for social welfare work among women and children. Alfred Fraser, Inspector of Storehousemen at HM New Zealand Dockyard, Auckland. Mrs. Muriel Archer Guthrie, of Wellington, for services among disabled servicemen. Miss Mary Alice Hall, of Helensville, for services as district nurse. Mrs. Amy May Hutchinson, of Auckland, Secretary of Auckland Branch of Society for the Protection of Women and Children. Miss Marie-Louise Dancy Isles, of Havelock North, Dominion Secretary to New Zealand Girl Guides Association. Charles Mallia, of Wellington, President of the Catholic Maritime League in New Zealand. Hugh Livingston McKinnon, of Pahiatu, for services as headmaster of the school at the Polish camp, Pahiatu. Alfred Hamish Reed of Dunedin, for services in connection with publication of historical and other New Zealand works. Miss Clara Emily Marion Rogers of Rangiora, formerly matron of the Christchurch YMCA. Thomas James McDowell Tweed of YMCA. Military Division Major and Quartermaster Claude Harold Kidman MM, Royal New Zealand Medical Corps. Captain Robert Leopard ECM, New Zealand Temporary Staff. Captain and Quartermaster Leslie Mossong, Royal New Zealand Artillery. Junior Commander Mabel Emma Steele, New Zealand Women's Army Auxiliary Corps. Warrant Officer Gilbert James Mackay, Royal New Zealand Air Force. Section Officer May Catherine Middleton, New Zealand Women's Auxiliary Air Force. Companion of the Imperial Service Order Frederick Templeton Mannheim Kissel, formerly General Manager, State Hydroelectric Department, New Zealand. George Patrick Shepherd, formerly Chief Judge, Native Land Court, and Under Secretary of Maori Affairs. British Empire Medal Civil Division Montague William George Wareham, Senior Magazine Storeman, HM New Zealand Dockyard, Auckland. Military Division Engine Room Artificer First Class Fred Broadbent, Royal New Zealand Navy. Ordnance Artificer Third Class Ernest Guard, Royal New Zealand Navy. Chief Petty Officer John William Jeffcoat, Royal New Zealand Navy. Private Andrew Wilfred Stewart Murray, New Zealand Regiment. Private Roy Vasey, New Zealand Temporary Staff. Flight Sergeant Francis James Herbert Patterson, Royal New Zealand Air Force. Flight Sergeant Eric William Scott, Royal New Zealand Air Force. Air Force Cross Flight Lieutenant Basil John Townsend Heath, Royal New Zealand Air Force. Flight Lieutenant John Richard Wendon, Royal New Zealand Air Force.